We are super excited, I just have to say, because what we really feel like this year is we are super inspired to just continue to push the envelope as far as our finances are concerned. And we know that when we do that for us, we're able to share all that wonderful information with you. And we hope that it provides you and your family a ton of value. So what we wanted to do today was to come together and talk about a vision board and creating a vision board for 2024. So Mr. Britt, will you tell us all what a vision board is?
So a vision board is basically a collage of pictures and photos and inspirational quotes that inspire you to accomplish whatever the pictures say.
Again, this was inspired by Oprah Winfrey. Before she got put out there for not paying people.
Oh no! I know we all heard about that.
But we're gonna take the idea and we're just going to continue this. Carmen and I, we've been doing this for about 10 years now.
Yeah.
And we found that it's been very helpful, especially when you go throughout the year and things come up and you kind of lose focus. You can look at this vision board and it kind of gets you back on track as to why you're doing what you're doing.
Absolutely. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen really quickly. And this is just literally a Google search of what is a vision board. And for those of you who may not have heard of a vision board, again, this is just a visual representation of what we're talking about today. So like Darius said, this is literally a visual exercise. So you can go out and go get some Crayola markers or crayons or colored pencils, whatever it is, or start clipping things from magazines. But the idea is for you to see visual objects that inspire you and for you to capture them and put them on like a whiteboard, for example. We personally put our vision boards on the desktop of our computers. I have one on my nightstand. I have one down here in our office. Like I have it everywhere so that I'm continuing to see it in front of me. Now, why is this important, folks? A lot of you all may be thinking, Carmen and Darius, why are you trying to give us an arts project?
Yeah, we want to talk about life insurance and how to use our life insurance to invest in real estate and our retirement. But
this is the foundation of everything that you'll do, and this is the easiest thing that you're going to do. It's going to be easier than talking about how much money you can put into a life insurance policy or what type of premiums you need or how can I access the money to invest in real estate, things of that nature. This is the foundation of the vision that you want to create with those tools that you decide to utilize.
Yeah, because let's be real, folks. How many of us in the past, or maybe even, this week said, I'm going to lose more weight, or I'm going to be healthier, or I'm going to do XYZ? How many of us start the year out thinking about what we want to do financially? How much money we want to have in our bank account by December? How much money we want to have in our bank account by June? Typically, when we think about resolutions and the things that we're trying to accomplish, it's usually about happiness and health. Sometimes, I'm not speaking for all of us, sometimes wealth kind of goes to the backside because we're just used to getting a check and we're like, okay, that's on autopilot. We don't really have to think about anything else. But right now in the chat, I want you guys to know, I'm not being morbid. I'm trying to have a real conversation with y'all today, is how many of y'all lost a family member? How many of y'all had an unexpected expense come up last year? How many of y'all wish you had a few more dollars and know that you could have done something different to get a few more dollars last year? So that's why we wanted to talk today about this vision board. Let's put a plan in place for what we want to accomplish financially so that we can start checking those boxes and taking action towards creating a game plan. All right, so let's go ahead and get started and talk about this vision board and the things that we are focusing on because we think that it might be of value to you.
Yeah, it's just to inspire you. There's no two vision boards that's going to be exactly the same, but this is just what we are setting our attention to. And this is how we came up with what we're going to put in our vision board.
Absolutely. So like we said, creating a financial vision board, this is what we want to talk about to you today.
Right. So we actually going to start with where we left off last year. And what we realized when we presented the idea of the fact that we want to create a family office, a lot of people kind of were like, oh, okay.
You mean you want to put a desk in your house somewhere?
No.
You're like, a little bit more than that.
So our big, hairy, audacious goal as to what we want to do for our family is to grow and transfer wealth across generations. However, with the family office, what that allows us to do is have a single point of contact for all of our financial needs, our corporate structure needs, and our education needs, our family education, as to how we put the right child in the right place, the right position based on what they're good at. That's what a family office is.
Yeah, and the other idea behind this too, folks, is really just putting the application out there as far as what do you want to do? Do you want to create businesses? Do you want to have a better tax plan? Do you want what is it that you want to do, and just start having a conversation about it? Because really what a family office is, wait for it, is something that looks like this. And for those of you who are in our mastermind community, and when we first saw this, Darius and I were like, what in the world is this thing? And that was some of the similar reactions that we got from our other students inside the community, right? So as we start to kind of peel back the layers of understanding how intense and structured your finances can be, well, here you go. You can take a snapshot of this.
So in a sentence, what a family office is a privately held company that handles management, wealth management, investment management for wealthy families, generally one with investment assets between $50 to $100 million.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we are not there yet, but we can't get there without having a plan in place for it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what part of a vision board is. It's not necessarily the money, it's just where we think we're naturally going to go, because we feel that we're called to do it.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And again, too, like everyone else's goals and admirations are different, right? So our goals are going to be different from the next person who is on the Zoom call, right? But again, the idea is, if I want to make more money and to continue to build wealth and sustain it for my family, what are the things I need to be aware of in order for me to do this successfully, right? So you may not want to try to go out there and get $1 billion, which is fine. But if you want to have $2, you might want to know how to manage those $2 little so that it can continue to grow for your family. Right. So to zoom out a little bit on this, because I realize it is a lot to see, the gold squares are basically the end goals, how we can start structuring this out and branching this web even further. The green squares are what we're going to be talking about today, and everything leads back to the central point of contact that Darius was talking about, which is this family office, which is that one point of contact.
Right. Now, you were introduced to us based on what's in the top left corner, life insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And what we want you to understand is the fact that life insurance is just a piece of your plan.
Mm-hmm.
You still have to generate income. You still have to create a plan for generating income. Life insurance is just a tool that allows us to do this.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I see you, W.R. Humphreys, in the chat.
Nice to number the actions.
Where do we start? Because that is exactly where we felt. And we're going to tell you where to start. So you all just hold off for just a second.
Start where you are.
Exactly. Start where you are. All right. So let's go ahead and just jump into the 6 categories that Darius and I, are focused on, right? So you decide what works for you. We're just sharing tidbits as we go, because once we got introduced to this family office, we're like, hold on a second. Hold the phone, because I'm glad what Darius just said, right? Life insurance, what we talk about, you guys probably maybe found us on YouTube or Google or whatever it is. What we talk about is just one piece of this whole thing. And we want people to be able to see beyond that one piece of the puzzle that we're able to serve you. Okay. So when we think about the departments, right, we're going to call these green squares the departments of your potential family office, or part of your vision board that you might be creating.
Or this is what we're creating.
Mm-hmm. So the very first plan of attack is tax planning, right? We talk about wealth planning, and we're going to go through each of these separately. Trust and corporate services, family governance, wealth management, and charity and philanthropy. Excuse me. What does this all look like? What does this mean to you? And again, you may be starting wherever you want. Let's just call this paint by numbers. So whichever color you suggest first, you can go with it.
Now we're all doing these things. We may not necessarily give it a name or an action, but we're all doing these things, but we're doing it in sections. Mm-hmm. What I want to do by the time I leave this earth is to have a single point of contact for the people that are coming after me, for our children that comes after us, mm-hmm. and whatever people that's a part of our succession plan.
Absolutely. All right. So let's talk about tax planning. So as you see on the screen, we have tax planning in big letters, and we have accountant at the side. And the reason why we have it this way is because we feel that sometimes people hear accountant and they don't fully understand exactly what those capabilities entail. So we want you to focus on tax planning. Who is going to help you with tax planning is going to be your accountant, right? So the idea is we want you to find a planner who can provide expertise, guidance, and support needed to optimize your taxes efficiently. That's all we're trying to do. And you also have to make sure that they are going to adhere to all relevant legal and ethical standards.
Now, the reason why this is important is as we transition from corporate America and working in our business, our taxes changed. We went from paying taxes up front to paying taxes after we paid all of our expenses. And what we started to notice is the fact that we paid a lot of money in taxes where we could have paid somebody to help us with our taxes up front to where we wouldn't have had to pay as much money in taxes. So having somebody that actually is very good at this particular position is very helpful for you in the future. And I can only assume that as our income increases from the 50 to $100 million mark, that we want to have somebody that's really good at this portion of the business, because it's better to pay somebody to help you with your taxes instead of paying taxes after the fact.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing too that we really, really, really want to hammer home is we have probably been through 6 or 7 accountants in our business inception. And it's like every year we kept going from the next to the next to the next to the next. And the reason being for that is we were hungry for looking for somebody who aligns with us in the fact of, one, do they understand why we're using policy loans and how you classify this on your taxes and how this all works and how, we can have gains on our end. And then the other point was like, what else do you know? What plays are you calling to help us get ahead of the curve, right? We don't want to be behind the curve. We want you to be like, hey, Carmen and Darius, I saw your bookkeeping. Why did you do this and that? Or did you consider this?
So like this year, why isn't your 3-year on payroll?
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah, exactly. My bad, me. We'll get her on immediately. So again, the thought behind this is, I'm going to say this. I don't know if you agree, because I realize I'm literally just coming up with this idea on the fly. Is like, you want your accountant to be like your QB, like in football. Like, you want them to be calling the plays, not necessarily like throwing the ball, right? But they're up there calling the plays. Maybe the coach. We'll call him the coach, because
the offensive coordinator.
There you go. That's a good one, because you really have to take into consideration your focus is either your business, or whatever you're doing to create income, right? That is your sole focus. And you need to be able to have other people on your team that can go, hey, this is how you manage your money. Hey, this is how you manage taxes. Hey, this is what you should start to consider in the future, because now you're making more money, or maybe you're making less money. You need to be able to have somebody on your team that you know and trust, and like, obviously, that can help you push the needle forward.
Right. And just keeping it real, we started with TurboTax. Now
H&R Block.
H&R Block. Yeah, we started with that, but as our financial situation changed, what we did is we transitioned along with it. Like, you can't keep the same ideas when you don't have money for when you do have money. It just doesn't add up. So what will happen for you naturally is you're going to naturally find the right people in the right places to help you wherever you are right now and beyond.
Absolutely. And I see the comments in here. So I think it's great to just take a moment. We want to acknowledge everyone. So Debbie, you were saying, what do you mean by single point of contact? Can you explain the terms?
Yeah, so single point of contact is, right now what we're doing is we're doing tax planning. We're doing we're meeting with our tax planner. We're meeting with our wealth planning. We're meeting with wealth management. We're meeting with a legal team to do corporate structures and strategies. We're actually teaching our daughter. We have a family mission. We're doing all these things individually, but as our income increases, we want to have a single one person that we talk to, basically a CEO for our family wealth. So it's basically we want to create a company that has all of our investment needs and tax needs and trust needs all in one place.
Absolutely. And
just for our family.
Yeah, I'm glad that you asked that, Debbie. So yeah, think about a corporation, right? If we're trying to build a corporation, there's going to be a CEO for that corporation. That CEO is going to be the CEO for our family business. So that's what we mean by the single point of contact, because you also have to think about it may or may not be you. And it probably won't be you, because if you're thinking about legacy planning and things like this, you want this to continue to grow and evolve as it should. So please provide recommendations for tax planning. Before we jump off tonight, I'll make sure that we put recommendations of people that we've used in the past, so that you also can to find value. So going back to this vision board, right? So if taxes is important to you this year, then start creating a vision board of maybe a face and write accountant over it, or tax planning, or something that attracts you, so that you can make sure that that stays in the forefront of your mind. And maybe there's a number, a specific number that you're trying to shoot for to stay below as far as paying taxes is concerned this year. So think about those things. I can't tell you enough. Like, it was literally fourth quarter where we had a sit down meeting with our accountant, and he was re-scrutinizing everything. And it really started for me kind of changing what I thought what we can do as far as the following year. So it's nice to be challenged. And that's essentially what I'm trying to say is you want someone to challenge you to go back to your numbers, go back to the drawing board, and refigure things out so that it can be better as you continue to move forward.
Right. So the picture that inspires us for this particular goal is the tax-free zone. The reason why I chose tax-free zone is because I would rather pay somebody a salary than pay taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they can pay taxes.
All right. So tax planning, that was the first part, right? So now we're talking about family governance. And what does that even mean? I think it sounds a little convoluted, but that's why we're here to break things down for you.
And again, this is just for us. Family governance is just how we educate our children as to what do you do with this money once it's in your hand. Let's say we're not here to guide you. We want you to be in good practice. We want you to be in the right positions, in the right companies, within the family office, so that you're getting the most out of it and the family is getting the most out of the individual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And really what this looks like today, right? Because again, we're building to this. So really what this looks like today is, does everyone understand the will? Does everyone understand the trust? Like that's what it's today, right? And as we continue to grow and evolve, it's like, okay, who can we put in these different positions to make sure that you can manage a specific part of the family trust, right? And the wishes of the family. So again, this doesn't have to be a huge corporation that we're building right now, but the idea is everyone on this call should start having conversations with their families about, what are your wishes? Right? Because we talk about this in our mastermind group. You know, a lot of people haven't necessarily had those conversations with with their families. And I'm totally picking on us too, because we went through something just this past year where it really made us shift what we were doing with our own families, because it's like Darius and I knew what was going on, but it was like, do our parents really understand what's going on? Do our siblings really understand what's going on? We're closing the gap. We're getting better, but we really have to, in this family governance structure, have more transparency, not only for our daughter. I mean, you know, she's a toddler, but making sure that our parents also understand this whole hierarchy structure and what our wishes are and how we want them to be involved. And again, with our siblings as well.
Right. Our daughter's a toddler going on grown.
So the idea again behind this is, if this is your key to think about today or this year, your family governance, who needs to know about your wishes?
Yeah, it's one thing to have $1 million life insurance policy, but it's another thing for that whoever is a beneficiary of that to know what to do to invest those funds so they can get a 10% return on that $1 million.
Speak on it.
That's what we're trying to accomplish.
Speak on it. Yep. It's one thing. I'm so glad you said that. I'm going to repeat it. It's one thing to have a life insurance policy. If we have helped you get a life insurance policy today and you have not talked to your family about getting a policy, or not only getting a policy, but what to do with the policy when you pass, this should be on your vision board. So get a picture of your family sitting around the campfire, having a fun interaction, right? This doesn't have to be difficult or morbid. Let's plan, right? Because you'd rather everyone to have a plan now than not have a plan and be scrambling when time comes. Okay.
So our inspiration, or the picture that's going to inspire us for this to keep it at the forefront of our mind, is the fact that entrepreneurship is not a job, it's a lifestyle. So even with the vocabulary words that we use with our daughter when she goes to school or when she's doing work, we're saying that she's playing. We're calling it play because she's creating. It's a lifestyle. It's something that we want to be downloaded in her. We're trying to brain hack. We're trying to brain hack our daughter into just,
some people would call it brainwashing
or brainwash her, and to make sure that she stays inspired in doing what her dreams are, and not anything less.
Absolutely. Now, if you all are still with us, go ahead in the chat and type in family governance. I just want to see family governance so that we are all on the same page, because more than anything, right, before we even move on, I cannot tell you how important it is for you to make sure that you start having conversations with your family so they understand what happens. All right. Wealth planning.
Now, wealth planning is a comprehensive and well thought out strategy that aligns with your financial goal. And the reason why wealth planning is so important is because it's just the plan. It's just a plan as to what you want to accomplish. And our plan is to have assets across multiple asset classes. That's another thing that we also preach. Life insurance just falls into the cash asset class. What we need to have is market exposure. What we need to have is real estate. Real estate is probably one of the things that we're going to talk about a little later. But it's having your funds across multiple asset classes. So when one's down, something else is up. When when something's up, then we're good. So we want to make sure that we position ourselves not only from a standpoint of being successful based on what we've seen success to be, but we actually want to move towards those things, and we want to plan for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, wealth planning is going to look different for you.
Everyone is going to be different,
right? So if wealth planning, growing and sustaining wealth is important to you this year, what are you going to put on your vision board? Okay. Is it going to be pictures of cash? Is it going to be pictures of real estate? Is it going to be pictures of the stock market? Whatever it is, like, put the picture out there, but also start putting specific words around it so that you don't just have a generic picture on your screen, right? Be specific about what it is that you want to accomplish so that you can start taking the action steps that you need to get there. Right. So, and I just want to remind you all that, again, we're here to serve you. Like we said, not only do we sell life insurance, but if you are really thinking about having,
we also own life insurance.
Yeah. Having the ability to invest, the entire Wealth Nation concierge team is here to help you. Right. And they are registered 8 financial professionals who can help you with either investing in the market, retirement accounts. I mean, you name it. We have a whole real estate department that you can get involved in. So the reason why we decided to align ourselves with the wonderful people at Prevail, and again, this isn't even a promo, I just want to make sure that you understand what is available to you, is because Darius and I recognize that life insurance is just a piece of this, right? And we need to do more if we want to sustain,
we want to have more,
our wealth. Right. So we had to align ourselves with people who had the same goals and aspirations and values that we do so that we can make a few more bucks. And when we were able to create this partnership, we were like, this is amazing. Let's share it with everyone else that we know. Okay. So thinking about wealth planning, what does it look like for you this year? And how can you start creating visualizations around it so that you can close those gaps?
So the picture that's going to represent for us to basically stay to this is just the asset classes. Where are we heavy? Where do we need to increase our funds a little more? Do we need to have more market exposure because we have so much real estate? Do we need to increase our life insurance policies because we have our net worth has increased so much to where our life insurance, we have more money than we do in death benefit? Because our net worth increases, we can have more life insurance. What more life insurance gives us is more access to cash so that we can buy more assets.
How about that?
How about that?
Yeah. And this is a true story, right? Because Darius and I sat down and we're like, I don't even need more life insurance. And not even just from the fact of just buying another policy to buy another policy. We were looking at our income and we're like, oh, we need to cover some gaps.
Mhm.
And we need to be able to continue to stay on top of this, right? Because it's easy to get focused on other things and not come back to again the foundations and making sure that all of your assets are covered.
Mhm.
So this is something that we are constantly evaluating and changing the needle because it's easy to be like, okay, I got my life insurance, let's move on to the next thing. But did you make more money next year? And the year after that and the year after that? How is that income going to be covered?
Yeah, and one thing that came to mind is what's so nice about just as your income increases, so does the income of the people that come into your life to inspire you
Mm-hmm.
and let you know what they're doing with their finances so that you can be better. Like it, iron sharpens iron.
Mm-hmm.
And until you start focusing on the right things in your life, be it wealth, be it health, be it happiness, you're going to attract people in your life that's going to inspire you to do more and be a better version of yourself.
Absolutely. And I see Jeff, I see your beach picture, sir. Of course, who doesn't want to be laid up on the beach? That should be another picture on here. Wealth planning to be on the beach, right? That's what we all want with a nice little Corona or something in our hand. Terry, I see your question. So does Prevail have all asset classes or just alternative investments? I'll say alternative investments and equities.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to cash, which we talk about with life insurance
and bonds.
So and bonds. Thank you. So thank you for that question.
Now,
Very
there's
important.
more asset classes than this. This is just what we're focusing on for now.
Mm-hmm. And also, too, family, right? I don't want you all to get distracted and start running around and going, oh my God, I got to go get cash. I got to go get equities, fixed income, alternative. You just need to take a step back, evaluate what on the screen to you looks of interest, and then just start poking around, getting more information. Because the idea is when we talk about diversification, true diversification is about having money across multiple asset classes, right? And it's going to take time. Again, that's not just going to happen overnight. So we are still working on the diversification of our internal asset classes because for a while we were just heavy on cash. And then throughout the majority, I would say, of our investing days, it's been in alternative investments in real estate. And now we're recognizing the importance of getting involved in the market and just other opportunities that we have. So don't just think that you have to scatter your efforts across all boards, right? So just start getting familiar with one class at a time, getting involved in it, start making some money. And as your cup overfloweth, then start looking at other opportunities for you to place your money.
Right. Now, Prevail is a partner of ours. So if you actually want to meet with an agent, you're actually meeting with people that have access to Prevail and assets, and you can talk not just about life insurance, but about retirement, stocks, real estate, whatever it is that you want to accomplish. You can talk to our agents about.
Absolutely. And I see, Jeff, you were asking, it's Prevail Investments. I was going to see, I saw one of our agents was on. I wanted to see if he was still here. I was going to have him connect with you. But we'll provide all that information in just a minute as soon as we end this. So stay with us.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So wealth management. What does this mean?
Now we talked about all this fancy stuff, and now we want to bring it back home. One of the things that I was inspired about when it comes to wealth management is just our real estate portfolio. We just finished up getting a investment property in Dominican Republic, but we also this past year went to Nigeria, where we were truly inspired. And one of the things that I want to do is go back to where I'm from and actually build the community that I actually grew up in. Mm-hmm. So one of the goals that we have set for this year is that mobile home that you see on the screen. The idea is to move that mobile home and build 2 duplexes there. Now, the significance of this is a cousin's a family member's house, and right next door on the right side is where my aunt lived. She actually passed away a couple of days ago, and we just want to actually go back to where I'm from and actually build up the community, because it's one thing for me to be doing all these things, but it's another thing to do it at home where you're from. Mm-hmm. So one thing I want to do is just establish a real estate portfolio at home where I'm from, in Sumter, South Carolina.
Absolutely. So I think the other thing too, as we're thinking about wealth management, again, I keep bringing this back to your vision board because that's the theme of today, is what are you going to do with wealth management? How are you going to make money?
Mhm.
Right. So a lot of times we're just so focused on our 9 to 5 or our business to create the income. But once you start making that money from your W-2s, once you start making money from your business, what are you going to do to get that money to start making friends and start working for you? Right. We want money at work, not people at work.
And that's what money is supposed to do. The money that you get paid from your job is money at work. It's what your employer pays you for to do a job for them. So the only thing we want to do is we want to kind of do the same thing in the same vein, is to use money to make more money, not consume, because that doesn't make us any money. We want to use money for what it was naturally created to do, which is to make more.
Absolutely. So again, on your vision board, what do you want to do to create more money?
Right. So for us, we want to grow our real estate portfolio to cash flow our W-2 income. And yes, we own a company um that we actually work for, but we still want to replace that income. We want to get so far away from where the honestly, we want to get so far away from where that work is actually done so we can work on the business instead of in the business.
Yeah, because that's where wealth really is generated, right? Where you can able to step away from the business, watch it grow, and just start pulling different levers so that you can make sure that the beast is continuing to be fed. Right. All right. So if you all are still with us, right? We know that it's late. It's
Jeff
late,
is in DR now. He's in Dominican Republic now.
Oh,
so the only
holler
thing,
at us, Jeff.
So Carmen's Dominican. So we have some connections because we actually lived in Santo Domingo for a year, and we established relationships with realtors because we had to find a place. And the only thing we did is we just kept asking questions. It's an island, so everybody knows everybody. We bought a place in Las Terrenas.
Nice. Awesome. And everyone's wishing you condolences, babe. So I just want to make sure that you send the love as well.
Oh, thank you.
And also for those of you,
thank you.
Jeff, specifically, you were asking Joyce Johnson. If you guys scroll in the chat, Joyce Johnson is our lovely assistant. Send Joyce some love. She added the scheduling link for you to be able to meet with any one of the Wealth Nation concierge teams, which is Prevail. So if this is of interest to you today and you want to start closing those, get your ducks in a row, closing those gaps, feel free to use that link.
And no pressure. It's just an exploratory call.
No pressure at all.
Now, the next one is trust and corporate services. This is just a fancy word for legal. We have an attorney that sets up our corporate structures. And the reason why we have corporate structures is just for to help minimize our tax and just creditor exposure. That's the whole reason for it, because what we realize, or what our accountant explained to us, is that when you make a lot of money in one business, what you can have is other corporate structures to reduce your income, basically. And I'm not a tax professional, so this is for educational purposes only. Don't quote me on anything that I say, because it was just told to me. So what you see here
You're playing telephone.
Yes. So what you basically see here is the fact that we don't own anything. Our trust owns everything. And that's one way of being able to pass everything on to the next generation with minimum issues.
And again, kind of what Darius said. So this was like draft number 1. We've had draft 700. So this is not at all what our existing structure looks like. So don't try to come for us. All right. It's different. But the idea is just to get you to see, the things that we're working on and we're building on, as far as the trust, and as far as having other businesses in concern, and how does that all fall into the whole web of, again, what it is that we're trying to do. So again, if we take a step back, this today, or let's say earlier in the year, just looked like Darius and Carmen and a few businesses, right? And after creating our trust, we have created multiple businesses so that we can just have different tax strategies in place to make sure that everything flows.
Right.
But again, the idea is you have to start where you want to start. If you are thinking about a trust, does that even make sense to you? Again, not everyone needs a trust, right? Because a lot of times you can just have the information documented. And again, please speak to your legal professionals. But a lot lot of times you don't need to have an investment into a trust because it can be costly. So you have to look at whatever assets that are currently on your table and determine, do they need to be all protected into a trust without it having to go to probate.
Yeah, and just to let you know, being transparent, this bridge trust was significantly more expensive than the trust that we actually have. And the trust that we actually have can't support a 50 to $100 million worth of businesses. So we position ourselves so that we can grow into it based on where we are financially.
Absolutely.
And actually, what inspired this trust is our daughter that passed away. She had special needs, and what we wanted to make sure, if anything happened to us, we wanted to make sure she was taken care of. So she passed away as this was as we were getting all this in order. So we just kept it.
Yeah. She was the motivation behind it.
She was the motivation behind it.
Yeah. And this is exactly why we said, do you know somebody who passed away? Do you know the goals and things that you wish that you had that happened last year? Because you can't continue to allow life to pass you by without taking action and making sure that you have everything that you need in place to ensure that your loved ones are taken care of.
Now, I'm not there was a question, does a trust overrule a will? I'm not sure, but our wills are inside of our trust.
Yes, it's actually, it depends on the state, right? So we actually can't even tell you. So a lot of times you can have just a will, again, depending on whatever your assets are, but most times as your assets continue to grow and evolve, you will need a trust that encompasses a will and determine exactly what it is. So you need to go to your state, which is why you need to talk to a legal professional who can represent your state and give you all that information. Great question, right?
That's why it's expensive too, because every time you pick up the phone and change something, they charge you.
But I'm so glad that you asked this question, W.R. Humphreys, because again, we were thinking in the beginning, right? Oh, we're just good with a will. And then kind of find out, we were like, oh no, mama need a trust. So there's some things that we have to put in place.
And then we got the bill. And after I woke up,
all right. So going back to and after you woke up, what?
After I woke up, I was like, okay, we need this.
So going back to your vision board, what does trust and corporate services, AKA legal, you see that on the side, what does legal business look like to you in 2024?
Right now, just for so just to make you aware, this was drawn up by our accountant. This was drawn up by our tax planner. And I had to work with a legal person separately from what our tax planner created for us. So that's just a part of making sure that everybody talks and is aware of what's going on, so that you can make sure that you're creating the right thing for your family.
Absolutely. And S. Gent, to answer your question, yes. So we have 2 baby girls. We have a 3-year-old, and our 9-month-old passed in February of last year. So when we were talking about, I realized this could be confusing. We have 2 children, 1 living. So when she was born, we understood that she had special needs, and we knew that she had limited time. So we were in a rush to get our ducks in order to make sure that we had everything legally prepared. And this is just the offspring of how this all came about. So that's why we always want to continue to share the things that we're doing, because you just don't know what things life is going to throw at you and how impactful this information can be towards the next person.
Right. And one of the questions is, does a trust protect you from probate? Yes. We spent a lot in doing real estate. We spent a lot of time at the courthouse and probate, buying real estate from the courthouse and probate. We didn't want our name to be on that list. So one of the things that inspired us is to have a trust, so that if anything was to happen to us, because when we lost our daughter, we realized how short life is.
Yeah.
And I'm 38 years young. Carmen's a little younger than me, and you never know. So we just wanted to make sure at least what we have is our ducks in a row. We have, if anything was to happen to one of us, the trust, it creates another trust for Carmen. If something was to happen to both of us, we have somebody in place that we meet with every year to let them know exactly where all of our assets are, what we need them to do for the next 15 years, to educate our daughter the way that we think we would have done. They're more of the person that we actually have is more focused on businesses than coddling. you know, so our daughter can get coddled from family. What we want this person to do is make sure that she's educated to run these businesses and do something with the money the little bit of money that we can leave her right now.
We got tough love. I like that.
Yes.
Larry says, does a trust protect you from probate and help you to set up guardianship
Yeah,
and
well, just
conservatorship?
answer that question.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And again, it depends on your state. So you have to, this is one thing that we learned is some states it's like guardianship is baked in, some states it's not. So make sure that you consider all of these things and make sure that you do what's best for you and your family. Love and respect. Thank you. So what does your asset protection bubble consist of, Debbie?
Everything. We don't own anything.
Mm-hmm.
We don't own anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hope that answers your question. If you have something a little bit more specific, Debbie, I'm just definitely throw it in the chat and we'll try to answer it as best as we can.
Yeah, even our personal real estate will be in our trust and not to us personally.
So that's good stuff. Any other questions as you all are thinking about this? Antonio, does the policy incorporate a trust within the policy? I'm going to say, I hesitate by saying yes because it doesn't, right? So the reason why I'm saying yes is because it's not going to go to probate, right? So if you have a life insurance policy, the death benefit proceeds are automatically going to be passed to the beneficiary. There's no probate involved. So it acts kind of like a trust, but it's not a trust. I hope that that's clear. Okay, so now getting back to some of the points that we were talking about today. So charity and philanthropy. So what does that look like for you all this year? Is it on your bucket list? If so, great. Add it to your vision board. If not, keep it moving and focus on some of the other things that we talked about or whatever else is important to you. So our commitment is we want to try to figure out what are the best ways for us to give back to our community. Like Darius said, building up the community and or just serving as much as we possibly can to make this world a better place.
Right. The only way to have is to give.
And the other thing, that was a nugget. I don't want to just pass over that. We always want to try to give from I have and have as much of a abundant mindset as we possibly can, because we also recognize the amount of love and service that was provided to our family all last year. We have to do our part and pay it forward, so that we can again continue to serve our community and those around us, so that everyone can come up and learn and impact their families in different ways. And I know that we've gone through a lot today. Just looking at the time, we wanted to make sure that we had set some time left over for questions. But again, we have to start this year off with prioritizing what is important to you all financially, because when you think about it, your finances are going to impact really everything. Your finances are going to impact what you can do on that happiness trail, right? Your finances are going to impact what can you do on that health trail, right? Being able to afford the gym, being able to afford organic food or whatever it is, or pay your medical bills, right? So how can we start fine tuning the things that we need to get in place and get in check this year and stay consistent, stay focused, and be accountable? These are things that we want to continue to make sure that you all are thinking about.
Right. So basically what we're trying to accomplish is this, but what this family office diagram looks like is it could be very overwhelming. So what we decided to do is we decided to turn what this is into this. What actions the actions will take this year to supercharge our financial game plan, and it's make sure that this stays at the forefront of our mind, because this is a simple version of what we're trying to accomplish. We just need to always remember it. And the reason why you don't see life insurance in this for us is because it's a piece of it. It's not the end all be all. It's only a piece of what we're trying to accomplish for our family when we're not here.
Absolutely. So what I'm going to do really quickly, fam, is I'm going to answer some of the questions. But again, like what Darius said, we were just talking about the 6 categories that we're focusing on this year and moving forward. You may focus on these same categories. Great. You may focus on other categories as you start to go down other rabbit holes. This may expose you to other things that you realize that you need to start focusing on. So that's why, again, we wanted to come to you live today to have this conversation. It's the beginning of the year. We hated being able to evaluate the previous years in the past and have nothing to show for ourselves.
Right.
Right. We made a lot of money and was like, hey, what happened to that money that we made? So like we don't want you all to continue to feel that way, if you feel that way at all, and to just be as efficient as you can be.
And we even have vision boards that have like 50 pictures on it. But what we really want to do is make things super simple for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And now this is where we are for our finances, just 6 pictures.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing too, what you can do, I actually have a notebook, and I was just literally asking Darius some of the things that he wanted to buy this year, so that you can keep that again in the forefront of your mind, because there's so many things that we say we want, right? And we don't go after it because we're like, oh, it's too expensive. Oh, this, oh, that, oh,
Or stupid.
or the baby needs this, that there's something is always going to come in front of it. But I keep a running list of the things that we want, just obnoxiously want, so that we can get it for ourselves when it makes sense, right? And we don't have to feel bad or guilty about it when we get it. It's like, no, when the time comes, like, what are we going to get off this list today? Because we're working so hard for it. I don't want to say life is short, but we have we want to think abundantly, and we want to continue to reward ourselves for those things. So again, creating budgets, having financial plans is not about skimping. It's just being about aware of your potential and where you can go, so that you can accomplish more. I like the conversation that we're having. I love what has been inspired from this conversation. We are going to be doing live webinars every single month this year, just so that we can continue to share and inspire you all to take more action with your finances, because we know it's all about owning your own lifestyle. The other thing, as far as announcements are concerned, if you are inside of our community, for our mastermind group, we are going to continue to meet twice a month live. But anyone who is a member of the Money School, you may not be a part of the mastermind group, we are still going to be doing live calls, and those are going to be called office hours. So office hours are going to be where we are going to have just intimate Q&A sessions with just the Money School members. It's
just like this.
Yeah, but it's just going to be for only Money School members. So we're going to be able to really dive into some of those questions that you all have. And the webinars are just going to be more high level introductory things for you all to gnaw on for a little bit until we see you next month. All right, fam. But I can't tell you enough. We just appreciate again your time, this hour and 10 minutes that you took to be with us today. Thank you again.
It's an hour and 10 minutes. It's only 2:45.
Time flies when you're having fun. If you have questions, grab those links, because probably in about 30 seconds, we are going to sign off here. Darius, do you have any closing remarks?
Nope. Just own your own lifestyle, or someone else will.
Mm-hmm. Or taxes, probate, whatever it is that you want to, will own you if you don't start owning the process.
Yes, that's exactly why it's on our vision board, because we have those experiences.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So love, respect, peace. Peace be the journey. We hope you all have a ton of fun with your finances. Don't let this be overwhelming.
Have fun.
You get to do this. You don't got to do this. Just change the mindset on how this all works, because you're going to make it better than where you left it.
Yep.
All right, fam. We're going to say one more time, own your own lifestyle.
Or someone else will. We love you guys.
Have a good evening.